welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley Ariana, and the Patriots just clinched a playoff spot with their win over the Ravens, and the 49ers clinched their playoff spot earlier today with the Steelers beating out the Lions, which was not an outcome I was expecting. Aaron Rodgers, if you guys all know the lore, he wanted the 49ers to draft him. He grew up a 49ers fan. And, well, he finally won a game for the 49ers. Thank you so much, Aaron Rodgers. Steelers, with that win, solidified the 49ers playoff berth. So no matter what happens, they could lose the rest of their games, which, knock on wood, I want them to win out. But they are going to the playoffs no matter what. And I just think it's important to talk about what an incredible accomplishment that is. This offseason, they scaled back a lot. We heard Jed York talking about saving money. They went into the season with tons of dead cap. If you guys forgot, they're paying Deebo Samuel like $30 million this year to play on the Commanders. So they had tons of dead cap for Eric Armstead, who's on the Jaguars. They're paying him this year. So they cut a bunch of players that were on their team, took the dead cap hit. They didn't really go out and make a move in free agency or a big move in free agency. I was really hoping for Drew Dalman for the 49ers on that offensive line. Their offensive line has really overperformed, especially since Brock Purdy's been back. But even with Mac Jones, I think both Mac Jones and Purdy have their own ways of helping negate the offensive line weaknesses. You kind of see the weakness when it comes to the run game more for the 49ers. But with all the injuries that they had, I mean, what a flex, what a major accomplishment it is for Robert Saleh. That was the best move of the offseason, right? Is 49ers went and got Robert Saleh. Either that or the move to get rid of Jake Moody and bring in Eddie Pinheiro. Robert Saleh being the defensive coordinator and Eddie Pinheiro being the kicker are in battle for which one is the best move of this offseason. Because both have helped win the 49ers games, have helped tremendously this year. But yeah, what a flex. Eric is in here and says, Kyle Shanahan, Coach of the Year. I definitely think he's in the running. Obviously, Mike Vrabel is in that conversation. Ben Johnson is in that conversation. And Coach of the Year is kind of a weird thing. It doesn't necessarily go to the best head coach. That's why Andy Reid hasn't won, or I don't know if he hasn't won one, but hasn't won one over the last couple of years when they were winning Super Bowls. Kyle Shanahan didn't win one in 2023 because it doesn't necessarily go to the best coached football team. It goes to the team that had like the lowest expectations and then overperformed. But with that being said, I mean, the 49ers sucked last year and then didn't make major additions to their team. So I think it is fair to say, a lot of people didn't think that they were going to be this good. I had high expectations because I was thinking, even if you're moving on from Deebo and some of your other guys, like you still have Trent Williams, you still have George Kittle. Those they brought back Kyle Juszczyk. Like they have some older players. They had Bosa at the time. But yeah, with all the injuries, this is what I wrote down. 49ers officially punched their playoff ticket or their ticket to the playoffs against all odds. Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh, major flex, deserve the credit. They did this with Brock Purdy missing half the season. I guess in that conversation of Robert Saleh, Eddie Pinheiro, going and getting Mac Jones. Mac Jones won multiple games for this team. Backups don't always do that. So these were all good moves that were underrated by me specifically. I'm not someone who needs to always be right. I didn't underrate the Robert Saleh move. I knew that was hugely important, but going and getting Mac Jones, I didn't know what a big deal that was going to be. I didn't expect Brock Purdy to miss half the season. But yeah, so they did this without their starting quarterback for half the season. George Kittle missed a ton of games. If you remember, Juwan Jennings was in and out. Ricky Pearsall has played like 3 games and can't catch the ball for more than 4 times without getting injured. They did this with Bosa out. Fred Warner went out. Michael Williams, their first round draft pick, went out. Alfred Collins hasn't really made an impact. So, I mean, their first 3 draft picks from this offseason haven't really made that much of a impact this year. Nick Bosa tears his ACL. Fred Warner dislocates his foot, ankle. It's, turning backwards. Michael Williams, who was, maybe not helping with rushing the passer at that stage of his career, but he was helping stop the run. That he was a big run stopper. He could set the edge. That's why they drafted him initially. They wanted him to develop into even more, but that's why they drafted him. And it was working, and then he went down, and they've fought back and found ways to win no matter what. They control their own destiny from here on out. If they win out, they will get the number 1 seed. If they win every game from here on out, they'll be at home playing at Levi's until the Super Bowl. If they win all their games, then they get a home playoff spot. And then that means they're going to play at home. If they win their home playoff spot, they'll play in the championship game at home. And then they would play the Super Bowl at home if they won that game. The 49ers under Kyle Shanahan either miss the playoffs or go to the NFC Championship game. If you look back at his career, they haven't lost in the first round. That's not what they do. They either completely shit the bed like they did last year, or they go all the way to the NFC Championship game / Super Bowl. It's a big applause to them that with everything that all the adversity they've faced this year, they have been able to keep kind of one game ahead of them. I'm thinking about the Super Bowl. I'm thinking about the playoffs. They're just thinking about Indy. And that's a big credit to Kyle Shanahan being able to keep the morale up. Last year, Trent Williams, Kyle Juszczyk, Deebo Samuel, they all talked about this depression that they had coming off the Super Bowl loss. And with Christian McCaffrey going down, they talked about really feeling upset during the season. And they did let all the pressure and the narrative that they should be a better team get to them. And they really crumbled under that pressure and under the injuries that they had. This season, the vibe is totally different. They're not hanging on to some old core. And it doesn't mean that those core players aren't there. Kittle's there, Trent's there, but they feel like a new revitalized team. They feel like a younger team. They definitely made investments, especially in the defense to get younger, but a lot of those guys haven't actually contributed, but the mindset has definitely carried over. They feel like a new team this year. It feels like every game they are excited to play. They're concentrated. They really don't have the issues with penalties that they had in previous years. Knock on wood, they're playing tomorrow. But they've been a lot more disciplined. I'm not saying that they don't have any penalties, but they have really narrowed it down. They're not – last year when they went 6-10 or whatever their record was at the end, I think 6-10, right? They were top 5 in penalties and in yards given to their opposing team. This year, they're not doing that. They're not missing field goals. They're not making the small mistakes. And that's been, it's interesting because this is not the best team, the best version of the 49ers. In 2023, we were like, is this team better than the 1994 Niners? People were having that conversation. They were like, this is the best constructed football team. This is not. The 2025 49ers team is not. But the NFL is full of parity right now. Good teams are losing. Good teams are winning. The Bills they beat Cleveland, but by 3 points. They were almost lost to Cleveland. Like I said, the Lions to start the year. The Lions played the Bears earlier on in the year and destroyed the Bears. And it was like, oh, everyone who thought it was all Ben Johnson, they don't know what they're talking about. Since then, the Niners have just gone downhill. Tampa Bay, I think they might still, because of how bad their division is, they might still be getting in the playoffs, but they just lost to Carolina. Carolina's in the playoffs. So there's a lot of parity in the NFL this year, and it makes you think that maybe the 49ers can win it all. If you would have The one game, because I'm talking a lot about how the 49ers haven't let themselves get defeated. The one game that it actually did feel like they felt defeated was after the Tampa Bay game, and that's after Fred Warner went down. Nick Bosa went down, and spirits, obviously the players were bummed, but spirits were still, they were like, okay, we can rally, we can do this. Then Michael goes down, then Fred Warner goes down, and they were really depressed that week. And that was the week of the trade deadline, and they didn't really make any moves. And I feel like it was just this weird, like, it's not our year, given that it felt like the team was kind of giving up. Not even just the players, but like the front office was kind of like, this isn't our year. You know, you can only survive so much adversity. And then somehow it's week 16, 3 games left, and they've already clinched a playoff spot. That the NFC West, by the way, in general, is a really good division this year. The Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers all have clinched playoff. So they're all playoff seeding. Not seeding, but they're all going to be in the playoffs. We don't know the seeding yet. And I'll get into that. Really quickly, in case you missed it or you weren't able to see it, the way that the end of that Steelers-Lions game happened was pretty interesting too. It was 29-24 Pittsburgh, and the Steelers end up missing a field goal. This is at like the very end. It's the end of fourth quarter. They missed a field goal. The Lions get a chance to score at the end. They go all the way down the field, and they come up with like a trick play where Amon-Ra St. Brown throws the ball like backwards to Jared Goff, and Jared Goff gets in the end zone for what would be the game-winning touchdown. And then there's an offensive PI. Jalen Ramsey, who is, cornerback now on the Steelers. I know him best from his time the Super Bowl year with the Rams. But he's with the Steelers, gets the Lions, gets St. Brown to commit offensive PI. Also, there might have been a situation with the clock running out when Jared Goff ended up getting in the end zone, but they call a flag, and it negates the penalty, negates the touchdown that Jared Goff just scored. Game's over. Steelers win. 49ers in the playoffs. Do you guys like my sweatshirt? San Francisco 49ers has this little logo over here. It's actually super thick and warm. It's a Lululemon shirt. If you're my dad watching this, my dad really wanted a sweatshirt like this when we went to the Carolina game. I can't believe Carolina is in the playoffs. They played so bad on that Monday Night Football game. Obviously, so did the 49ers. If you remember, that's the game that Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions. But the Panthers played so bad that Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions, and they still lost. So, yeah, really downhill for Tampa Bay. I wonder if Tampa Bay is going to end up getting rid of Todd Bowles, because Todd Bowles is a defensive guy. Like, it's not even, you can't let a team like that continue to beat you. What a weird run for both the Lions and Tampa, where I feel like they started the season really well and both kind of crashed and burned. But yeah, anyways, so that's how the 49ers ended up clinching the division. Was the end of that game, came down to the very end. If you guys just watched all the games today, it came down to really close scores. There's been some yesterday, last night's game. I was in San Francisco. If you guys saw, San Francisco had a huge grid exploded, so there's power outages all over the place. My partner, his brother, just got a big promotion, so we were gonna go eat in San Francisco, and all the restaurants and everything were out of power. So I was walking around in the rain, because it's pouring rain in the Bay Area, in these giant heels, trying to watch the football game on my phone. Anyways, that the end of the Bears Packers game yesterday was really good too. It's kind of interesting. Part of me thinks Matt LaFleur locked up a extension, because he's making Malik Willis, he's doing what Kyle Shanahan did with Mac Jones and made him look good. Malik Willis looks great on the Packers. I mean, he's an excellent backup. He's probably fighting to be a starter somewhere else. It just shows how bad the Titans are, because Malik Willis looked horrible on the Titans. Packers are really good at developing quarterbacks, but then, so for the first part of that game, I'm thinking like, wow, they lose Jordan Love, but they're still, finding ways to win, they being the Packers. Matt LaFleur's locked up his position. And then they crumble. It's like they're able to stop the run. They're do all that. And then in the fourth quarter, it totally switches. And all of a sudden the Bears can run all over them. And Caleb Williams has just a beautiful down the field, right in the breadbasket pass. 49ers have to play the Bears, and that's going to be a hard game because they have a good run game. And Caleb Williams, when he wants to throw it, when he throws it well, it looks beautiful. It's not a pass that like Brock Purdy can make. And I'm not downing Brock Purdy. He does other things. I definitely think at this point in his career, he's able to read defenses way quicker, able to make more accurate, timely decisions more often. But every once in a while, there's just a beautiful pass that Caleb can make. So I am worried about that Bears game. But yeah, what a good NFL week it's been. Then what else happened? Oh, so what I was going to say is the Ravens, Lamar Jackson goes down, but they're hanging in there. Zay Flowers had an excellent game. And then Drake May, he's legit. And that's why I said, I don't know. I think Kyle definitely has a chance at Coach of the Year, but I think Mike Vrabel and that Patriots team, they're kind of in another league right now. I think if the 49ers had to face the Patriots, they'd lose. I hope you guys don't hate me for saying that, but it just feels like there's a lot of parity right now. And I think the Patriots, Rams look really good, but the Rams just lost. So I don't know. There's a lot of parity. I think if the Rams and the Seahawks played 10 times, the Rams would win more often than they lose, but they just lost earlier this week. So that's what's interesting about an NFL football game. It's not exactly like, part of it is how you match up against each other and if you have the better team, but also some of it is luck. Like I would say, I think both the Seahawks and the Rams are good teams, but I would say that the Rams are a better team, but they lost to the Seahawks. And I also think the Rams are probably a better team than the 49ers, but the 49ers have beaten the Rams. I think the 49ers, knock on wood, are going to beat the Seahawks at the end of the year. I know they're a better team. The Seahawks are definitely a better team than they were week one. They're definitely they've had more time to connect, and their offense is executing way better. Their defense is really, I feel like, the highlight of their team right now. But I think the 49ers could win that game. Let's go over some playoff scenarios. Like I said, they control their own destiny. If the 49ers win out, they get the number one seed no matter what. So that should be the goal. But there's some other scenarios. There's one other scenario where they could still get the number one seed, even if they lose to Seattle, which I said, I think they'll beat Seattle. But if they did lose, they could still get the number one seed if the Seahawks lose to the Panthers, and they're playing the Panthers next week. Once again, all of a sudden the Panthers are like the 49ers' best friend. We're all substitute Panthers fans. They lost their game to us that we sucked in, and then they beat Tampa. They've like done a bunch of things to help the 49ers get into the playoffs. So good on the Panthers. But if the Seahawks lose to the Panthers and the Rams and the Eagles lose one of their last two, doesn't matter which one, but if they lose one of their last two, then the 49ers would still get the number one seed, even with a Seahawks loss. Additionally, they could get the number one seed, or they could, that Seahawks game might be easier if the Seahawks lose to the Panthers, then there's no way for the Seahawks to win the number one seed. They have to beat the Panthers in order to be in competition. So if the Seahawks beat the Panthers this upcoming week and the 49ers beat Indy, they're both going to be competing for that number one seed in week 18. But if the Seahawks lose, there's no way that they could win that number one seed. And so they're going to be between either the 5th seed or the 7th seed, I think the Seahawks would be, with a loss to the Panthers. And so I think because the 49ers have done this before in previous seasons when they've already had the playoffs. Because once again, the Seahawks are going to be, sorry, I'm being confusing. The Seahawks are in the playoffs no matter what, but they have to beat the Panthers in order to compete for the number 1 seed. If they lose to the Panthers, it's actually more advantageous for them to sit their players week 18 and lose because they're just going to be a lower seed. But like they're already, for some reason, they're never going to be the 4 seed, but they'll either be the 6 or the 7 seed, but they'll be in the playoffs no matter what. So 49ers fans, we've seen this happen before. I think it was in 2023, week 18, we faced the Cardinals. If I hope I'm correct about the year, but Kyle sat Brock Purdy and he sat some of his starters. Because basically it's like, okay, you're not going to get the number 1 seed, so you're not going to have the bye week. So I'm just going to rest my guys no matter what. Because we know we're going to get in. So this game is kind of meaningless. We'd rather have a week to kind of heal everyone up. Anyone who's like even slightly injured, we're not going to push them to play in week 18 and then have them be tired for the first game of the playoffs. The playoffs are what matter. So Papa J said we won't get lower than 6 seed. I'm talking about the Seahawks. All this information, the only reason this information is relevant, why I'm talking about the Seahawks, is if they lose to the Panthers, they'll probably sit Sam Darnold and their starting running back. They're going to sit a lot of their good players during week 18, which then would give the 49ers an easier chance to beat them. Because the 49ers would be going against their backups. So that's another way that they could beat the Seahawks, is just if the Seahawks kind of wave the white flag and take a bye week during week 18, which plenty of teams do. That wouldn't be abnormal. The 49ers have done that before. A lot of times if you have the playoffs locked up, but you know you're not going to get the number 1 seed, a lot of coaches, Sean McVay, a lot of especially Kyle Shanahan type coaches, the same coaches that don't play their starters in the preseason usually choose to rest their starters during week 18. So looking for the 49ers, we got Indy, not looking too hot in my opinion. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, excellent running back. Phillip Rivers, it's cool. Like, it's a cool story for him that he's able to play NFL football, but he can't throw the ball far at all. You have your front 4, and then I'd move up my back 7 and have them all very close to the line of scrimmage. We used to see teams play the 49ers like that with Jimmy Garoppolo because they were testing him to go down deep, and he usually wouldn't throw the ball deep. That's what I would do with Phillip Rivers. He can't throw the ball very far. You got to make sure you're stopping Jonathan Taylor, stop the run. That's going to be the most important for the 49ers. And I do think they're going to – I think it's going to be a closer game than feels comfortable, because the Niners defense has struggled, but I think that they can win this against Phillip Rivers. Also, the Colts have downgraded their starting offensive tackle, Raman. Is that the right way to say it? Two of their offensive linemen, one is their starting tackle, one is their starting interior guard, are going to be out. So they're going to be playing with 2 backups on their offensive line. I don't necessarily think that means the 49ers are going to get a lot of pressure, because they struggle getting pressure on Cam Ward. The Titans don't have a good offensive line, and I think Cam Ward had like 1 sack the whole game. So I'm not saying just because the Colts are, on their backup offensive tackles that the 49ers are just going to get a ton of sacks, but it might help them slow down the run a little bit with Jonathan Taylor. I think it'll help the 49ers defense when it comes to game planning. Phillip Rivers' game plan is not going to be to throw downfield. It's going to be get the ball out quick, 10-yard, 5-yard dump off passes, 10 yards, crossing routes. They should know exactly what's coming and be able to play in the best of their abilities how to stop it. I don't think that they're going to be surprised by anything that the Colts do. After the Colts, they have the Bears. Like I said, I think they're going to beat the Colts, even though the run game, I think it'll be a closer game than it should be, but I think they'll win. The Bears game scares me. The Bears looked really good. They've looked really good the whole second half of the season. Ben Johnson has a lot of creativity. Their run game is good. Caleb can throw the ball downfield. So that game, it's going to be hard. Now, luckily for the 49ers, it's at Levi's. The Bears have played a lot worse on the road than they have at home, which makes sense. They're a young team. So I definitely think the Bears are still beatable, but I think these are all going to be closer games. The 49ers win against Cleveland, which is a shitty team. They win against the Titans, which is a shitty team. These next games are going to be, in my opinion, a tougher caliber game, but Carolina's shitty team. I know that they got in the playoffs. They're still shitty. You can't convince me that the Panthers are not shitty. I saw that game in person. But all I'm saying is I think the Niners are, I don't know if I want to jinx them and say are. I think they should win out. And I'm going to bet on them, not actually bet because I don't believe in gambling, but I'm going to bet with my dad and my words and you guys on here that the 49ers win each game from here on out. But I think that they're going to be closer than we want them to be. And I'd love to be wrong, by the way. I'd love for the 49ers to blow everyone out. And then they have the Seahawks who, like I said, they're not going down without a fight. They look dead in the water against the Rams. Everyone was saying this is why you can't trust Sam Darnold. I was saying that. I was watching that game with Sam Darnold and the Rams midway through, and I was like, this is exactly what he did in the playoffs last year. You can't trust Sam Darnold in big games. He crumbles under the pressure. And then they turned around and they looked really good. And Sam Darnold made some beautiful downhill throws. Their defense played really good in the end of that. JSN, that's not its name. But no way we're going to lose against the Bears. I'm not picking them to beat the Bears. I'm trying to play out all the scenarios for you guys and let you know what the 49ers in their meetings, in their practices are going to be talking about. It's going to be, okay, all three of these teams have better defenses than any of the last three teams that they've played. All three of these teams have a better running game than any of the last three games that they've played. The last three games were Carolina, Cleveland, I'm blanking. Titans. Sorry, the Titans suck so much that I forget that they exist. All three of those teams have shitty offensive lines, shitty run games, shitty coaching. They're just not great teams right now. Once again, I know the Panthers are in the playoffs and we like them right now. Thank you, Panthers. You're our friend. I hope that one day you're good. You seem to be good against other teams, not the Niners, and that's great. I want you to win. I want you to beat the Seahawks. I'd love for you to be turning it around. It'd be fun. What if the 49ers face the Panthers in the playoffs? That would be helpful. All I'm trying to say is they've had an easy part of their schedule for the last 3 weeks. I heard Matt Mayoko, who's, longtime beat reporter for the 49ers, works for NSNBC Bay Area. And he said the 49ers have entered their peak. They're peaking right now. And he said that right before the Titans game. And I was like, are they peaking or have they just played really shitty teams? But hopefully they're just peaking. So yeah, they have 3 games where the quarterbacks, I'm not super scared of the old dude, but Caleb looks pretty good. Sam Darnold, if you pressure him, he can get spooked, but the 49ers can't get a ton of pressure. They're going to be harder games. They're going to be closer games, but by the way, Eric said in here, 3-0. I think they're going to win. I don't want to jinx it. But I'm excited. Can we protect the run right now? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the 49ers are bad at stopping the run. They're also not getting a ton of yards on the ground. Papa J said, I'm optimistic with the players that we're getting back from injury. Tatum Bethune coming back is going to be huge for the 49ers. I mean, when I went over injuries, I talked about Fred Warner. I didn't talk about the 49ers have been out. I mean, Nick Martin just got put on IR. They lost Tatum Bethune. Curtis Robinson has been in and out. This team has had so many injuries to overcome, and that's why I really do think Kyle is in the running for Coach of the Year, and I think all these players deserve so much credit for keeping their spirits up and going each game and trying to give it their all and playing as hard as possible, because yes, they've had an easy schedule, but they've also had so much adversity that we've seen crumble them in the past. Like we saw it last year. It totally crumbled them. They've done a lot better at playing smarter, not making the little mistakes. I think special teams being not only not a negative, but like a positive has been such a contributing factor to the 49ers winning. My dad says the biggest problem that we're going to be facing so far is Caleb can run. I agree. 49ers have always, even when all their guys, Bosa, Fred Warner, all of them are there, they've always struggled against mobile quarterbacks. I will say, I don't think Caleb is like, a Lamar. He'll run if he's like pressured, but he's not necessarily running for a ton of yards. And once again, if he totally did that against the Packers game and I didn't see it, I was walking around the streets of San Francisco in the dark because the entire city lost power, and I was trying to watch the game on my phone, but also not fall and die in the rain. But yeah, we need to blitz more. I think Papa J, I think that'd be a great way to help simulate some pressure. Lenore, Robert Saleh was asked, Lenore and or what's the safety's name? How am I blanking on his name? The 49ers have given up 2 touchdowns back to back. Oh, D. Winters. D. Winters is the linebacker, but either Lenore or D. Winters, I'm not exactly sure who it's on. There's been different people who have broken down the film and blamed different players, but the 49ers gave up a really big touchdown against the Browns and then did the same thing this last week. And Robert Saleh was asked about it, and he was like, yeah, we got to cover that better, and we're definitely not going to let that happen again. There's going to be some strategy that needs to go into these last couple games as the teams that they're playing get more difficult. They're going to need to be more intentional. They can't just scrape out. Like I said, I think they beat the Carolina Panthers because the Panthers were so bad every time they gave them the ball, and they were like, okay, you can win. The Panthers would go 3 and out or turn the ball over themselves. They're going to eventually, maybe not until the playoffs, maybe it's the Bears, maybe it's the Seahawks, eventually they're going to play a team that if you give them opportunities to win, they're going to be able to take advantage of it. So the 49ers need to play safe. Don't turn the ball over. That's the best thing that they did last week against the Titans. I felt like Brock was really smart with the football. He looked really in control when it came to his legs and his mobility. So I think Brock being back to, it feels like he's like 100% with his toe. I think that's a huge benefit. The last couple games, when he first came back, you could tell he was still very rattled, couldn't plant his feet totally. He's playing way better. So hopefully that continues and isn't just a reflection of the fact that he's gone against worse defenses. Someone says Mustafa. Mustafa's been playing well, so I didn't mean to say him. I think I was talking about D. Winters, but is it Jaden Phillips? How am I blanking on this? It's you guys don't understand. I was going to say I go to bed early, but I don't really go to bed early, but my brain definitely turns off past 49ers safeties, past 9 p.m. Safeties. Not Jason Pinnock. Jair Brown had a breakout game against the Panthers. But no, Jason Pinnock against Cleveland, he was in the back corner and he let the guy get behind him and it was wide open for a touchdown in the end zone. And then the same play happened against the Titans where he let a guy behind him, wasn't able to run with him. Cam Ward hit the guy. It was some like practice squad guy, but Cam Ward threw the ball downfield and he was wide open in the end zone and was able to get it. And where people are having some trouble is Lenore ends up running kind of after him to try to stop it. So then a lot of people were blaming it on Deommodore Lenore. But Robert Saleh talked in his most recent press conference, which was 2 days ago now. It was on Friday. And he said that it was on – I mean, he didn't place blame, but he said that was Pinnock's assignment. So Jason Pinnock, we got to get him some help. Whether that's always making sure there's a cornerback kind of right in his zone and helping him, or he just needs to study more and be on top of his assignments. So, yeah. Let me see. Bigger than life. I'm not worried about who we play because we can beat any team in the NFL in the playoffs. There's a lot of player parity in the NFL right now. So I don't know. I mean, I want to say there's teams that I feel like the 49ers would really struggle against or would lose to, but they like the Bills are one of those teams. I'm like the 49ers would definitely lose to the Bills, but then you see that the Bills just almost lost to Cleveland. Now Cleveland has a really good defense, and they did end up winning even with that. But I think there are some teams that I would say are guaranteed better. Someone said the Eagles are heating up. I think right now the Bills, the Patriots look really good. I'd be scared to face them. It'll be interesting to see the 49ers face the Seahawks again because week 1, it seemed almost easy, but they've really gone on the heater, and a lot of people who talk about the NFL consistently put the Seahawks in the top 3 teams in the NFL right now. So I'll be interested to see how that week 18 goes if they are playing their starters. I'm not going to be super excited to play the Rams either. Matthew Stafford is a really good quarterback. I know they just lost, but he is probably the MVP of the league this year. I think he had one game where he threw a couple interceptions that didn't look good, but he's thrown what's his touchdown to interception ratio? He broke Tom Brady's record for most games without an interception this year. Puka Nacua, who I think is a jerk, especially for all the stuff he did this week on Aiden Ross's stream or whatever, but he's a hell of a fucking player. And you got to give Stafford credit for that too. If you're a wide receiver, you want to play with Matthew Stafford. He makes those guys look good. But Puka Nacua looks beautiful, looks incredible. He absolutely went off. Obviously they have Davante Adams. I don't know when he's going to be back. I assume by the playoffs. There's 3 weeks until the playoffs. Let me see. What was I looking for? Stafford, INT. Nope. INT to TD ratio. 2025 season. Now, I don't know if this is exactly correct because it's just the very first thing that came up when I Google it, but it says that he has 33 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Is that right? That's fucking insane. Is that right? Does he have 33 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions? That's fucking great. That's what I'm saying. But the weird thing about Stafford is I don't know, he could throw. I think of Stafford as someone who might throw an interception. You know what I mean? I'm he'll give you chances. Okay, let me see. 40. Oh my God, it's even better now. Sorry, is this correct? $17. 2025. Right now, Matthew Stafford has 40 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. God, that's a good player. He should win MVP. Are the Rams losing? The thing that's shitty, all these coach of the year, MVP and everything, it has so much, the way the awards are so weird because I wonder if because the Rams lost to the Seahawks, now Matthew Stafford won't win MVP because those big games, especially primetime games, I feel like that's how they make the decisions on who's going to win or not. So they might give it to the Bills, but 40 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. And their team is good as hell too. Let me see really quick what's Josh Allen. Now maybe what you would say is Josh Allen has less talent around him. INT to so maybe you would say he's more of an MVP because the Rams have Puka Nacua, they have Sean McVay, they have Davante Adams, they have a good defense. Although their defense kind of crumbled at the end of the last game. Let me see. Josh Allen has 25 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Yeah. I mean, it's still, once again, much more impressive than what we currently have. Last year, he had 28 to only 6. He was definitely in the conversation to win MVP last year. Josh Allen was. I wonder if he'll win this year. I would give it to Stafford. Those numbers are insane. But anyways. Papa J said, let's stop the Rams praise. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think Stafford. I went to 49. I was happy. I was rooting for the Seahawks at the end of that game. I think the Rams can just be kind of like cocky, and I feel like growing up, the Seahawks 49ers rivalry was bigger, but for me, at least in recent years, I am much more competitive with the Rams. Maybe it's because they've won a Super Bowl or something, but I want them to lose more than I want both the Seahawks and the Rams to lose, but when they were playing each other, I wanted the Rams to lose the most. Eric predicts that it'll be Bills and Niners playing at Levi's for the Super Bowl. That'll be really interesting. I don't know. Do the Patriots beat the Bills if it's Patriots Bills in the conference championship for the AFC? That could be interesting. But anyways, I mostly wanted to come on here and give you guys the different playoff scenarios. Like I said, there's a couple different ways that the 49ers could get the number 1 seed. No matter what, they're going to be in the playoffs. But they really control their own destiny. I'm going to be going live tomorrow after the game. I hope you guys all stay nice and warm. It's raining a lot here in the Bay Area. Also, I hope you guys have a wonderful time with your family. I know it's a holiday weekend. I get to do some stuff with my partner's family. Then I'm going to go up to Sonoma County and see my dad and everything and my sister. So that'll be good. But I love you guys so much. I think I'm going to end it here. I know this is a shorter stream, but I mostly just wanted to say, hey, the 49ers locked up a playoff spot, and it's been a crazy week of NFL football. Sometimes it's fun to not play on Sunday because you can watch other games without like getting, too high or low about it. When the 49ers are playing, I can't pay attention to any other team because I'm trying to like take notes and everything. Where today I was able to off and on just take notes. I really wanted to get my hair done tomorrow for Christmas, but I couldn't make up my mind if I should book it or not. And then by the time I was like, okay, I'm definitely gonna do it, someone said, welcome to Sonoma County. I don't live in Sonoma County. I live in Oakland. I don't know if I should say that, but thank you though. My dad lives there, not to out where my dad is. Prediction for tomorrow's game. I already said, I think the 49ers are going to win. Like and subscribe, please. Yes. Thank you guys so much. Let me see. I think it'll be higher score. I think all the 49ers games are going to need to be higher scoring because I think the defense is going to give up points. I think 49ers are going to need to score like 30, but I think they can. I think 49ers win, and it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't have an exact number. Let me see. Ricky Pearsall's not playing. They need to get the ball to Kendrick Bourne for him to get his bonus, so I feel like they're going to be trying to do that. Also, Brock Purdy and Kendrick Bourne have had a good connection recently. I loved last week. They really threw the ball a lot to George Kittle. I want them to continue to do that. Papa J, I'm trying to get my hair done, but I don't think I finished the sentence. I had it open to get the reservation, to book it, to be like, yeah, I want to come. You had to confirm an appointment. And I waited too long, and then they were like, oh, this appointment has been taken. So anyways, I think a lot of girls and I'm not trying to be I'm not like other girls, but a lot of girls, they like getting their nails and their hair done. I hate sitting. I get really antsy. I'm I want to move around. I want to do something. And so I kind of hate doing those things. And getting your hair done when you're blonde takes 3.5 hours. So you're just sitting for 3.5 hours doing nothing. It's kind of my nightmare. So I get my hair done once a year. I just get some highlights because I'm naturally blonde. When I was little, I was bleach blonde, but it's definitely more of a dirty blonde naturally now. I haven't got it done since last year. But anyways, I was thinking I should do it because my birthday's in January. But anyways, Oh, I was trying to do touchdown. So I think there's 3, 10. Okay, and then maybe 2 field goals? Plus 7? I think the 49ers are probably going to score 30 exactly. Like, I could see them getting maybe even 23, but 23 seems way too low, right? Like, the Colts are going to score. The Colts have the ability, but maybe it'll be lower scoring. The Colts have the ability to hold the ball for a long time because they have a good run game. But I don't necessarily think that's going to equal points for them. I think Jonathan Taylor will probably score 1. I don't have an exact score for you. Sometimes I have an exact score. I hope you guys don't hate me for not having an exact score. I do think the 49ers are going to win. And I'm going to be going live after the game. It's going to be late night because it's an evening game. I imagine that a lot of these, if the Seahawks and the 49ers are competing for the first seed, I bet in the playoffs for the NFC, I bet that will be flexed to a primetime game. So I think these next 3 games not only are going to be important, but might all be primetime games. Right now, just the next 2 are, but I think they might all be flexed. So Leroy, that's my dad. I don't know why I said Leroy, says 31-24 Colts. I like this. That's a good score. 38-20. Yeah, maybe. All primetime for sure. Rivers still breaking into the system. I don't see this. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, in my head, I'm like, I think it needs to be higher scoring because the 49ers defense is not that good. But then I'm like, I don't know. I could see it being, in the both teams score in the 20s. Maybe the 49ers get like 27 to like 20 or something. But anyways, I love you guys so much. I'm going to take off here because I'm clearly getting so tired that I'm not making sense. But please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going live tomorrow after the game. By the way, did you guys see DK Metcalf punch a fan in the face today during a game? Punched a fan in the face. NFL wide receivers right now, man. Hopefully, like I said, still praying for Brandon Ayuk. I hope you guys are having a great time, eating lots of treats, having fun with your family. Have good holidays. Love you to my dad, who I know is watching. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. So make sure to like and subscribe. Ricky Pearsall's out. Love you guys.